Welcome to the San Diego Sabers radio podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth podcast network. San Diego Sabers is the premier lightsaber combat training group in the San Diego area. On this show, we get together and talk about saber fighting, combat techniques, and a lot of Star Wars geekery.
Welcome back once again. This is producer Andre to San Diego Sabers radio podcast. This is our next in our continuing series of saber martial art interviews. This time we have Mark from Master Club of Delaware. And to get you all the details about him, I'm going to pass you off to Alan.
Hello again, everybody. This is Alan Venable, president of the Saber Martial Arts Foundation. And I am here because of this guy. Mr. Mark Stamegna, which is we lovingly know as Fode. So you'll hear us call him Mark, Fode, that guy. Hey, you. There's a lot of names for him, and some were good. So, but the Saber Martial Arts Foundation actually was his brainchild. So,
it was fun. It's a fun little idea that became real.
Yeah, that's how it works, though. I mean, yeah. Every journey starts with a single step, and sometimes it's two brain cells rubbing together, right?
Yeah, well, I can't take credit for all of it. Generally, just the term. I'd been using the term saber martial arts for a few years, and I know that it sort of caught on in our little group of people. Mm-hmm. Just kind of organically became what we all started calling it. And I think Steve really was the one who said, this should be like a movement, a nonprofit, something, that we can share what we're doing with people, because I think you guys can attest. The biggest problem for people like us is finding other people to do what we like to do with. Right. And it's not that they're not out there. It's just that they're having as hard of a time finding us as we are finding them a lot of the time.
Absolutely.
So this just kind of a
certain set of rules as well.
Absolutely.
That's the big part.
And geography, that's a big issue, especially now that everybody's social distanced. So it becomes really critical that everybody knows what you're talking about when you talk about the martial arts you do, or any activity you're doing. People have a clear idea of what your mission is. And the term saber martial arts really came from the term mixed martial arts, which I know a lot of us had been referring to what we were doing as mixed martial arts sword play.
Yeah. Right.
So we just kind of shortened it to saber martial arts, and it became this thing that we all decided we were really doing in our own way. So here we are.
Yeah. I mean, that's the idea of this set of podcasts is also to get to know the people that were instrumental in putting this together, and the leaders of those schools. And so that if you're listening to this and you're geographically close, you know who to talk to. You can find on sabermartialarts.life. You can go there and find the school that hopefully is close to you, and then that has the same criteria, hopefully, that you're looking for. And we started off with 3 basic principles, right, that I'm pretty sure you had a big hand in writing out, which were the 3 principles.
Did I have that? Well, we have safety.
Safety, martial spirit, and fun.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I don't know if I actually had a part in writing that, but let's say I did. That some smart guy really wrote something down good about that.
I know it's long discussions about safety.
That's the biggest thing, because for me, I hate watching people get hurt, man, because I have so much fun doing this stuff. And people are you hate watching people get hurt, but you're a martial artist. If you're a true martial artist, you don't want to hurt anybody. You just like to practice the techniques that could, be, you can up the intensity, lower the intensity, but also you have to up the equipment or lower the equipment requirements for what you're doing as well. And, you know, safety, there's so many ways nowadays to practice safely. 10, 15 years ago, when we were taking plastic lightsabers off the shelf or trying to make master replicas lightsabers work for combat, like nobody was thinking about the fact that like that really brittle acrylic would turn into shards of glass in your heart, right?
The shadow the first time you swing hard,
or maybe it might be a good idea to wear some sort of eye protection while you're swinging plastic at each other's faces, right? But you weren't thinking about that because finally, like, we started to get like ultra sabers on the scene, and then all of a sudden people started to go, oh, we kind of need to treat this a little bit more seriously.
Right. And a lot of this, like even 10 years ago, we wouldn't be able to do if these bigger manufacturers weren't around, right? The guys that actually put it together. Here's how you do a polycarbonate blade. Here's how you do that.
Right.
Now we have neopixels, which are, you know, another level of stuff. And
it's almost come full circle because to me, like when I watch like the behind the scenes stuff on Star Wars movies and whatever, I feel like they're largely stealing the technology from the combat saber manufacturers now, for the sabers they use in the stunt scenes and whatnot. And
for the lighting and anything else. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And those blades look phenomenal on camera, just without any filtering or anything. But beyond all that, I think it's just so cool, the evolution of how it came about, because I remember getting a master replica saber in 2004 or something like that, and just thinking, man, if only I wasn't so worried about breaking this damn thing.
Right.
You know,
and those weren't a cheap investment.
No, they weren't. No, they were as much or more than your average combat saber would be. So yeah, I mean,
they're what, 200, 250 bucks?
Yeah.
The ones you can get now. And like a functional combat saber is like 80.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A decent one from, you know, Ing Chow or something like that. Yeah. $100 and you're good to go for the day, or you know, for the whole whatever. But
and you're not,
you know, even like the foam sabers, like that's been so huge for me because my personal student base is on the younger side. I have very few people I work with over age 18. I think the average age of my students is between 14 to 16. And I do have a smattering of like 12-year-olds and 10-year-olds too. And those kids, even the younger ones on special events and stuff, they benefit so much from those foam lightsabers, the Action Flex Spoffers and stuff like that, because they can literally just go hog, especially if they're up against an instructor. Like you don't have to have almost any protective equipment. We make them wear a helmet more as like a pleasantry, really, than anything else, because it's not even needed. Yeah, I mean, they signed a waiver that we said we would make them wear a helmet, so we make them wear the helmet. But I mean, it's just great. And the nice thing about that is when you're a higher experience level, you can use those things to practice your techniques at a higher intensity at a same safety level, which is so huge when you're talking about a laser sword that cuts everything in its path in half.
Right.
You know, so yeah, anyway, safety is such a big thing that creeps into every other aspect of what we do.
Right.
I feel like we're constantly talking about safety, even when we're talking about like the really fun, flashy techniques and stuff. We're still trying to figure out how to do them without getting our own heads cut off, you know?
Right.
And so
well, a lot
huge.
Of it leads us to the next pillar, which is martial spirit, right? To
actually, sure.
Number one, treat the lightsaber like it's a lightsaber.
Right. Respect the weapon.
It's not a foil. It's not, you know, a German longsword. It's not a Zweihander. It's not. It's a lightsaber. So 360.
But at the same time, it can be all of those things anytime it needs to be. Yep.
So that's why it is the mixed martial arts, or the MMA of swordplay. So
yeah,
I mean,
I have students.
That's the beauty of it, and we want to talk about the martial spirit, which is what?
Oh, I mean, my students will ask me all the time, like, what's this weapon from this video game? Or like, this character in this movie, what are they doing with this sword, right? And like, that's how it starts. That's how you get people to go past the first step of asking you and then finally put a weapon in their hand and see how they react to it, right? So not everybody reacts to every weapon the same way, and not everybody fights the same way, and nobody should. You should fight the way you fight and learn the way you learn. And that's the way that any good mixed martial arts program should occur, is that you are benefiting from asking questions, from like trying things, like you named 6 or 7 different swords, right? And then let's throw into that, what kind of techniques from like nunchuck could you incorporate into your Form 4 lightsaber sparring, or what techniques from staff training, like a bow staff or any sort of spear, could you incorporate into your regular lightsaber training? Or now do you want to start incorporating exotic white lightsaber styles? And if you don't come at it from that point of view, and if you come at it from the point of view of, I have katana training, so everything I teach everybody will always be katana style. Okay, fine. You're going to get really good at that one thing.
Right.
And everybody's going to now figure out ways to go around your one thing you're good at, or game your system against you, right, which is even worse, because that really shows that you don't have a foundation that can adapt.
Sure. And that's part of the
go ahead.
The spirit that we want to talk about, though, is the fact that we can actually take the fundamentals and techniques of certain swords and do them alongside other swords and other exotic weapons and other martial arts, period. So that's why it's saber martial arts. We're not just talking about a sword form, we're also talking about other things. So
and
which is
not even just weapons. Sometimes we talk about empty-handed styles. Like when you're talking about footwork is universal. It doesn't matter what weapon you're holding or not holding. You can take footwork principles from all different kinds of martial styles and incorporate them into other martial styles. It doesn't have to have anything to do with the one you're studying that moment.
Sure. Absolutely.
Sure, like if you're doing a rapier specific drill, you might want to use rapier footwork or whatever. But look, if your life's on the line, quote unquote, and you're in a lightsaber duel or any sort of weapons fight, like you got to use the footwork that works. It doesn't matter what sword style it came from in the moment. It matters that you use it to maximum effect. Right. So I'll put it this way. I have a Muay Thai instructor friend, and I was talking to him recently sort of about the COVID stuff and whatever. And this doesn't really have anything to do with COVID, but he was saying that he encouraged a bunch of his students to go out to another instructor's Muay Thai school and learn a little bit about the style of Muay Thai that they do, because it's a little bit different. And he was like, I would fully expect any of my students to do that without my permission, because I believe that I've given them the culture in my school to understand that every instructor has value and every student can learn. Right. So like to tell them that my way is the only way is absolutely ludicrous. And this guy earned a black belt in Kempo from my instructor, 20 years ago, and now has a brown belt in BJJ, and he's a fully ranked instructor in Muay Thai. So like, it just goes to show you that if you allow yourself the open mind, as well as your students the open playing field to sort of explore what they want, like everybody's going to come out of it better. I have students who do sword styles that I don't really like that much, but they love it. So why would I tell them like, well, because I don't like it, or because I'm not as good at that style, that I'm not going to let you do it? No, I'll still keep looking up exercises and come up with drills for that style, and we'll hone your skills with that sword, because you getting better with that sword or that weapon makes me feel good about what I'm teaching you. It means it's working.
Right.
Just because it's not my best doesn't mean it can't be your best.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
Well,
anyway.
that's leads us to our, like I said, our third pillar, which is fun. Right.
Yeah.
It's in the end, that sort of research and development into what type of saber martial artist you are is the fun.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
How that person does it versus how that person does it versus how you do it. It's all part of the fun and the
Yep.
I guess the overall growth of the fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch people do things well. Like, you could be the crabbiest, like, old school teacher, and you still get a little choked up when one of your students does exactly the thing you told them to do, and it worked exactly the way you told them it would work, and they know it too.
Right.
You know, that's like the coolest feeling, because then they'll never forget how that felt to succeed, right? And then they'll want to practice that thing, or they'll want to get that feeling back and do it again, right? Or score that point again. So, yeah, I think fun is, truly what you make of it in this art form. And it can be really, really fun. Watching a couple of 14-year-olds discover how to use swords like they've been using them forever all of a sudden, and they start to understand which edge is the sharp edge and which edge is not, which takes some people a lot longer than you'd think.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially with a lightsaber, because that whole thing's a sharp edge, and I don't know if everybody's gotten that memo yet. So yeah, I mean, fun is what you make of it, and you have to come at it from. Remember, it's a nerd stick. I know that's an Alan thing. I'm gonna steal that from you. Remember, you're holding a nerd stick. Don't get ahead of yourself and take yourself too seriously. Enjoy the seriousness of the martial arts, but have freaking fun, because you're holding a nerd stick, and nobody or fewer people are judging you poorly for that these days. It's not so cliche to hold a lightsaber these days.
Well, within that community, there's even more factions and feelings.
Yeah, I mean, there
how
is.
To hold your nerd stick, which is why we created a place where you can share your ideas instead of trying to cram it down somebody else's throat, which is what leads
so critical for us.
Yeah,
we all have so much difference and variance in our styles. I mean, Eric teaches completely different than I teach, and you teach completely different than I teach, but we all come from a similar background of like traditional teachers teaching us, right? So we all have a basis of experience, but I don't think we let that get in our way if we have something new to figure out. Or, I mean, every student that walks through the door is so much different.
Yeah.
And every time I get in the ring still to spar, I discover new stuff that I'm doing not so well, or doing stuff like bad habits that I'm revisiting, that I was trying to work out before, that I'm getting back to. And, that's the plight of the teacher, isn't it? Like trying to work on your own skills while trying to make your students better, because they need a different set of practice time than you do. Right. And I know Eric has mentioned before, finding somebody at the level to push you and challenge you gets harder and harder.
Yes.
So then you start to slack a little bit in your own style as a teacher, and you just want like somebody to help sharpen you back up again.
Right.
So I've been fortunate to have a couple students who are getting there.
That's good. I mean, that's the thing, right? Is after a while, you do need somebody new to fight, which is why we put on events, and and you
want your students to be better than you one day, hopefully. Maybe not everybody does, but one day I'd like my students to be better than me. Well, and some are getting there.
You have the solace that everybody does die eventually, and then whoever's left is better than you at a sword fight because you're dead.
yeah, well, that's true.
But
I
yeah,
hope it doesn't take them that long.
That's the difference between a teacher, right? A good instructor, and an ego.
Yeah.
Most people that are not good teachers but good martial artists, which are not exclusive skill sets.
Boy, that's true statement.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said about being a really good martial artist but a really bad teacher, or even
or vice versa.
Yeah, or vice versa, being a really good teacher, but you might not win every fight. Great, but you might be able to, step in there with a thing going, hey, I caught that guy stepping. I know his timing. Are you ready? So when he rolls his shoulder this way, this is coming. It's stuff like that.
Yeah.
That
well, a lot of fighters, when they retire, what do? They become trainers and teachers and things like that. Why? Because they have been there in the experience, and they have been there where the ego matters, but now they can take that back seat and let somebody else develop the ego while they help develop that ego's skills. And again, it becomes more rewarding for them as they I spent a lot of time training our competition team for, kata and, extreme forms and self-defense displays and things like that. And they won a lot of tournaments. And when I was their age, I competed and won, a lot of trophies and tournaments and stuff. And it doesn't mean anything later. Like the trophies and stuff, they get put in a basket or a box later and forgotten about. But the experience of getting on that stage and working your ass off for barely 2 minutes to like some techno Mortal Kombat theme song or something and doing your best, you don't have to be the best tornado kicker or the best back flipper to help the person who can do the tornado kick or the backflip or whatever find the right place in the choreography for it, or give them the right opportunity to highlight that move that they can do that nobody else can do. You don't need to even be able to teach them how to do it, as long as you can give them the opportunity to use the tools they've developed and give them the practice. Like, I don't know how to, I can't do a backflip physically, but I know the mechanics of it. So I could tell somebody how to do it safely and then spot them, but I'm not doing that backflip, and I'm certainly not doing it at my age, in air quotes, and with the way my back feels these days, like it's just not happening.
Right.
But sure, if you want to go practice a backflip, I will find the right place to put that in your kata or in your, choreography. The same is true of fighting. If you want to develop a certain skill set or a certain form, 1 through 7, whatever, we can do that. I don't need to be. Anyway, God, we keep going around and around, but the idea is that you just keep building up. You build up the safety, you will build up the martial spirit, which will help you build up the fun, and then it keeps going up the 3 tiers over and over again. And that's why 20 plus years is easy to get through in martial arts if you have an experience like that.
Right, absolutely. Well, that leads me to the beginning of our interview then. What made you get into martial arts? What did if we go in the way back machine, what made baby Mark want to ki in a karate?
Yeah. So I was 4 at the time when I started martial arts, and I'm 32 now. So my big brother.
Then, just so you know.
What's that?
So some people would still say you're a baby.
Yeah. My wife would say that probably.
You're younger than me, so you're a kid to me.
Yeah.
Not because she's older, but because of the way I act. So, I was 4 years old.
I've been doing this for almost longer than you've been alive. Doing martial arts, my teachers still think I'm a punk kid. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Oh yeah, that'll never go away. So I was my big brother had started, like, I guess a year or so before me, when he was like 4 or 5, and he's like 2 years older than me. So I don't know. He had been doing it for a little over a year, I guess, and My dad had started doing it with him as well. And I just wasn't old enough yet, but I used to go with them to the dojo all the time and like mimic them on the side, sort of like the Ninja Turtles with Master Splinter, you know, in the movie. And that was another big influence on me because I was like perfect age for the Ninja Turtle fever to hit me. Like it still got me in its clutches.
Right.
You know, my Instagram feed is like 90% Ninja Turtle hashtags. So, yeah, like I was the perfect age, and that type of entertainment was really hopping in the late 80s, early 90s. It was just such a huge part of culture. You had Three Ninjas, you had Double Dragon, you had the Street Fighter games, Mortal Kombat I mean, it was freaking everywhere, and Bruce Lee reruns were always on TV.
Yep.
So, like, martial arts was just everywhere. My dad grew up in a rough part of Boston, so like he grew up having to learn how to take care of himself, and then when he became an adult, he was like, maybe I should really learn how to take care of myself, not like just the street thug way. And then, you know, fast forward a little bit, I just like I took to it. I really enjoyed it. I ended up getting to the same rank as my older brother, and my dad ended up earning his black belt the year before my older brother and I earned our first black belts. And we earned them together, which was really cool for my mom, because the whole reason anybody even signed up at all was because my mom did it in college for like a year and was like, you know, I think you guys would really appreciate this. And she just has always been a believer in martial arts, which is funny because she's such a pacifist, goes to church like 9 days a week. But she just believed that it was like a good skill and that it gave us the discipline and things like that we needed. Like she never had to ask us more than twice to vacuum the house and stuff like that. And I think a large part of that just has to do with, you know, from the age of 4, I walked into a building, took my shoes off, bowed to whoever was there and said, hello, sir, how are you? At the age of 4. Like not every 4-year-old is required to do that in their chosen extracurricular activities. Right. You're not bowing to your football coach and saying, hello, sir, how are you? Maybe you should, but most of the time you're not. And
I
so anyway,
kids need to do that for every activity, no matter what. So
yeah, I think it's important, you know, to like we, anyway, those skills and things over the years that like, even when I stopped training in a dojo and I would just go to the gym and like work out on the heavy bag or do a little wrestling with a friend or blah, blah, blah. In those years where I was like in college or traveling, you still have like the discipline to go, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do 50 kicks real quick, or I'm going to go ahead and hold this door for this person who looks like they had a rough day and maybe say, hi, how are you? Or, you know, I met somebody for the first time. I'm not going to go ahead and like forget to shake their hand, or these days elbow bump, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And those little things, I think not only were they beneficial to me over all the years, but they also kept me in martial arts over all the years, because I craved that sense of like responsibility and belonging.
Sure.
So
what martial art was that you?
So I've been doing American Kenpo karate for all my whole life. I've also done a smattering of other things, but mostly in like the kickboxing categories. Okay. So I'm not super, super well versed in the grappling arts, although I find them fascinating, and I do like to get my ass handed to me on the ground once in a while. Yeah, but the weapons started at a very young age. I remember like we started with basic Arnis and Eskrima at like the age of like 6 or 7. And from there, I just started eating up all the weapons lore and weapons instruction I could garner from everybody around me. And that was really cool because my instructor was also one of those people who would offer the Tai Chi instructor 2 days a week to come in and teach, would offer the judo instructor 2 days a week to come in and teach, would offer other Kenpo instructors days to come in and teach, and had always been one of those people that said, like, you know, if you're not learning everything you can from anybody who's willing to share with you, then you're not paying any attention at all.
Wonderful.
You know? So anyway, here I am all these years later, still trying to get, you know, my reverse punch perfect and my downward slashes perfect and my, you know, everything, my guards perfect. Everything at this point is just going back to basics and trying to make sure it's perfect, because other people are relying on me for that information, and I need to make sure that my shit's together.
Well, far be it for me to quote Ken Watanabe at the end of last they're all but,
oh man,
for that particular moment, yes, it's absolutely perfect. But like Andre says, you either win or you learn. So if your reverse punch is good enough, learn from it.
Yeah.
Work on it. You know, make sure that the next one you do is a little bit better. So yeah, make that a thing.
And learn from your wins too, because I feel like I fall into the trap where I don't sometimes get proud enough of myself. Like, and I'll win something and be like, oh man, I should have done this better. And I'm like, wait a second, value that win, like, for half a second. But maybe I'm trying too hard to learn stuff from my wins sometimes. But I think some people, they see a win as like, okay, I'm untouchable now. It's like, oh boy.
Right. Well, that's
that's going to be a problem for you one day. It might not be today, but it's going to be one day.
Well, that's the wonderful thing about having a community is the person that wins one fight doesn't win all the fights.
Yeah,
that's right.
You know, and if they do, then well, great, they were awesome on that day. But the following tournament's a brand new experience.
Right.
The next point is a brand new experience every single time. I don't think you'll see a single tournament or event that we do where it's the same exact fight, the same exact technique every single time.
And it's really important coming, like, I don't know, we probably were going to mention this at some point, but I've done a bunch of the commentaries for the SMAF events. Yes. And part of doing the commentary is not knowing if somebody who I've seen win multiple second, third, first place positions in various tournaments all of a sudden go out in the first round in a different tournament. And you're like, hold on, I fully expected that person to go 20 rounds tonight. Yeah. And they didn't make it past one. And it might not have had anything to do with the quality of their fighting. They might have just been stuck up against somebody who was just as good, better, maybe even worse, but had a great night. And again, when you're talking about a lightsaber, those moments of making a tiny mistake are so, there's huge mistakes because every part of that weapon is so deadly. And the best events, the best fights and tournaments are the ones that treat it that way. Yeah. And the best fighters know that at any moment you could slip up and get the Dooku treatment real quick, you know?
Right.
So I think, you know, as a martial artist, sometimes you get in like a kickboxing match or you get like a little bit wrestly and it's not real clear who's winning until somebody like hits the deck. Right. But with lightsaber fighting, that's not the case at all. Like, and a lot of times the scoring is so subjective because it happens so fast and somebody's standing in a different place or whatever. It's just been so much fun to discover all the possibilities that can come out of a system that fast and unique. So
well,
I feel like the longtime martial artists, they appreciate the variability of it all. Yes. A lot more than the people who started with lightsaber fighting, because the people who started with lightsaber fighting, maybe I'm wrong, maybe this is a generalization, but I feel like they almost take the fact that it is so open-ended and mixed martial arty for granted.
Right.
Some of these UFC fighters, it's the same idea. They train in MMA. Well, MMA is not a martial art, but it's all the martial arts. So What they're training in is a smattering of jujitsu. And if you really were to formulate it and put the ingredients label on the box, like you'd see a half dozen or more ingredients that are martial arts styles, but MMA in and of itself is just their catch-all term for how they train. Well, the people who started in lightsaber, they might go back now and say, oh, I want to learn about the longsword, or, oh, I want to learn about, kama, or I want to learn about the sai, or I want to learn about blah, blah, blah. And they almost take for granted that the lightsaber is so easy to become all of those things that they don't need to necessarily know the techniques from them first. But then, that's not to say it's better or worse than the person who studied the longsword first and now can't figure out that the lightsaber is all the swords. They still use it like it's only got two edges and it's got a cross guard and that they have to swing it, in certain ways. And all those things, though, they iron themselves out over time. And the community, like you keep bringing up, around it, the people who fight the MMA vibe, the people who don't want it to be that, who want it to be kendo with lightsabers, or who want it to be HEMA with lightsabers, they either come around or they fade away. They don't stick around often because people don't have time for, like you said, ego, first of all, and my way is better than yours. People don't have time for that when we're doing nerd sticks. Right. And people just don't want to be told that their way sucks either. And if they're coming up with a system that works for them, or that they feel good about, or that is comfortable, or maybe they're just in it for exercise, which is a lot of people, they just want to do it to sweat with some friends. And everybody, for every purpose, needs to be able to come to some sort of common ground, or then it's like the dojos of old, right? Where if somebody comes in and I want to fight the master today, like I want to embarrass him in front of his students so that all of his students quit. Like those days, hopefully, are long gone, right? And lightsaber martial arts in general have gone through a bit of that. Every martial art does, especially the young ones. HEMA has gone through a bit of that over the years. And older martial arts go through waves of that, where Kung Fu is really popular and then it goes down. And then all of a sudden, Muay Thai is the jam and then it goes down. And then, it's just, everything is valuable. Not everybody values it the same.
Right. I mean, that's well.
That was almost intelligent of me.
No, that was well said.
You have your moments.
That being said, what made you get into lightsaber combat and decide, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna tag this into my hand-to-hand school.
Well, my mom knew she had a problem when I started swinging butter knives around the kitchen, like I was, Wesley Snipes or something, and she just sort of she understood you could either fight this kid's sort of, I don't even want to say violent nature, because I'm really like a teddy bear most of the time. I just happen to like to hit things hard, and I don't even like to hit people that hard. I just like to hit things hard. So she kind of just realized don't fight it. So I gotta owe her a lot, because when I would bring a sword home, like a samurai sword, and start practicing with that, I would inevitably go to the box of lightsabers or go to the box of flashlights and turn everything into a lightsaber. And it didn't stop when I went to high school and got my first couple girlfriends and got my driver's license, and then went to college and was getting in trouble for drinking way too much. And the lightsaber thing never stopped. The weapon thing never stopped. I had nunchucks under my bed, every bed I've ever lived in. They're there right now. One of the first things I look at in a good kitchen knife is, can I get to this kitchen knife from anywhere in the house? So it's just, it's always been there, but the lightsabers, because when I first saw Star Wars, there was just there was nothing like it. Obviously, we all say this, right? There was nothing like it. But even 20 years later, there was nothing like it. Even 20 years after it had been released, there was still nothing like it. And I had been so infatuated with samurai and ninja and knights and cowboys and Indians and all that stuff for so many years that all of a sudden here they are holding these laser swords, and they're all my favorite characters rolled into one. You know, you've got your Robin Hood characters, you've got your King Arthurs and your Musashis and so forth and so on. And it became like, well, why can't I just do this myself? Right? Do I really need it to be made of real energy, or can I get away with the Hasbro $8.99 plastic blade? And it turned out for me that I totally could get away with the $8.99 blade for many, many years. So when Attack of the Clones came out, I had already been kind of messing with trying to really do real martial arts with my friends in our like playtime, right? And then Attack of the Clones came out, and I'm like kind of too old for playtime. I was like in 8th grade or something like that. So the lightsaber stuff was still happening, but way more under the table. And I only had 1 or 2 friends that I could trust with that information. So, I just started teaching them like the martial arts that I already knew with the lightsabers in our hand. And we started to come up with choreographed sequences and also just like little light sparring where it was great for my friends because they would learn control, because I would not let people hit each other hard because I'd been doing real sparring for years. And at the same time, it was fun for me because I was taking the shit I was already good at and turning it into the shit that I wanted to be good at. So then Attack of the Clones came out, and the Fight Saber article in Star Wars Insider came out, and they started to establish this whole 7 forms thing lightly, not really establishing much about it, certainly not martially. It was very much just a storytelling device for many, many, many years. And then I didn't even realize that independent of me, so this is, I guess, 2001, 2002, 2003, that I really started to take the 7 forms thing to heart. And I didn't realize that sort of, I guess, contemporaneously is maybe the word. Others were doing similar things with their own respective martial arts.
Right.
And doing force effects lightsabers with, duct tape around the blade so they didn't shatter them on each other, and just trying the best we could to make the best of the tools we had to learn the stuff we wanted to learn and share with others. And just the way any good martial art started, right? In somebody's basement or backyard, and with somebody who really did know what they were doing, but really did want to share it too. Right. So yeah, I mean, the toys have always been there and hopefully they will never go away.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of, I mean, you basically described what we do, right? We took what we know and something we loved and try to make it another thing. Yeah. That we both know.
Yeah. Why lightsabers? Because why not? Because we're already doing all these we're already doing nunchucks. I mean, anybody who studies like a traditional martial art, they probably have some weapons work, whether it be Krav Maga and you're working with knives and guns, or you've got your Kung Fu list of 99 weapons that you have to, know for your whatever sash. And look, regardless of the martial art, you've got some sort of weapon. And the lightsaber's the least common denominator.
Oh, sure. Well, yeah.
Everybody can come to an agreement.
Of course.
Yep. So how can you not?
Yeah.
How can you not? I feel like a lot of traditional martial arts teachers too are starting to come around now too, and just like, what they would have scoffed at before, like an instructor wanting to teach lightsaber class. Like now my instructor, like, it was like, oh, like Mark spent another $150 on lightsaber equipment. Like, no big deal,
Yeah.
because people are showing interest. So,
well, that's the thing is like, because it is in the collective subconscious, and the fact that it is a nerd stick, and anyone you hand a lightsaber to, the hum and the glow automatically turns them into a 5-year-old once they hold it.
Yeah. Try not to smile. Just go ahead, try.
It's one of those things that's just almost immediately relatable, right? So once you get into, hey, you know what? We do traditional martial arts here. We also do this thing. And, you know, you see somebody that's, you know, they were there on opening day, and they're holding this thing. You're like, you guys teach this? You know, it's, and at the same time, you see, you know, the 5-year-old that just saw The Force Awakens, or, you know, The Rise of Skywalker, and they're, you know, making the little sounds with their broom. You know, it's
100%.
like they're the same. It's the same energy from.
Yeah, if that kid goes away, like if that type of kid goes away, that's when we're in trouble.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
COVID may have put our roller coaster on a bit of a plateau.
Yeah,
but we're gonna get back up to the big hill and the big fall.
Yeah,
real soon, and we're gonna have that rush again. You know.
And what we're trying to do is try to keep the events moving. You know, and plan for next year when hopefully everything is opened up again, and have that big spike, right? And then it will be, oh man, we did it. All right, when's the next one? You know, that's really the downward part of it, is like, oh, okay, well, all right, what's next?
You know, and it's forced us to come together and get creative too. And I know that sort of everybody right now is saying this about various COVID related adaptabilities, we'll call it. But like, between teaching Zoom classes when we were really, really in lockdown, to going outside for classes so that we can do partner drills again. You know, sometimes we'll just like throw a mask on so that we can actually make light contact. We've been able to do, like, a lot of my kids got real creative, just put like packing tape over the mouth holes of their fencing masks so that they could get back to contact. And their parents, or, you know, if they're adult students, they've been really great about it, and sort of been like really cooperative. Like, okay, my kid's not feeling super well today. Do you mind if I don't bring him to class? Awesome. But then, you know, they'll email back and say like, oh, turns out it was just like a quick hay fever. Like, they're totally good to go. And then the next week they'll come in and like, they want to get back to the martial arts side of it. And you just can't do that when you can't get together. Yeah. And slowly but surely, we've been able to come up with solutions and adapt what we're doing to try and get back to a modicum of normalcy in the whole situation. And again, going back to those foam weapons, it has been so huge for us, because you don't have to make heavy contact. You can easily, like if you need to clean something, like a quick Lysol wipe down the blade, right, and down the grip, right, or whatever. And the kids can get away with just their normal, like, mask, or just a normal sparring helmet with the mouth hole covered, and they don't have to worry about like a whole bunch of cumbersome gear and sweating and trying to breathe heavily behind the mask on top of all that. Right. So it's been really great for us to have the foam weapons and to have outdoor capability. The outdoor stuff is going away soon, so we'll see how it turns out. That's good. But, you know, I think being forced to adapt and still try and retain students, still try and retain interest in the sport and in the art, it's been really important over the last 6 months, and not easy, but the community has really tried to do its best to offer assistance to those who want to keep doing it. I know San Diego Sabers, people are getting together to have little fight clubs here and there. I know, you know, anybody that is willing to go through minor obstacles can continue practicing and can continue learning. Anyway, it's just the sign of the times that we have to change a little bit, and a lot of martial arts communities have trouble changing, and I think that we're doing okay.
Right. So
Yeah.
that being said, in the community, in the martial arts community, at least my martial arts community, a lot
Sure.
of people have signed up to do martial arts actually because they
Interesting.
because they wanted to do something, because they were bored at home, because they haven't done
Yeah.
anything else, but martial arts is a little bit quote unquote safer,
Mm-hmm.
because it can be done one-on-one.
Right.
There's not, I know my little nephew had a soccer game the other day, and I was like, wait, what's happening? How does that work? Because
Yeah.
everybody does have to be spread out. The spectators are all 6 feet away from each other and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Whereas in a martial arts setting, you can do one-on-one training and it'll be okay, and 6 feet away is fine, because if, most martial arts teachers are teaching, 10 to 20 people at a time, you're going to be more than 6 feet away, telling them to do, reverse punches or something, or front kicks or something like that. That's easily done. So it's an interesting kind of dichotomy. Whereas in the Saber community, I've seen a lot more people do more stuff, try to stream, try to do more talks, try to do more things, just like what we're doing now, and trying to keep the kind of
spark.
Yeah, keep the spark. I was going to say keep the flame going, because it is hard to do this stuff by yourself unless you have somebody right there with you. And I mean, of course, big events and stuff like that are non-existent at the moment. But once they do happen, I'm pretty sure we're going to have record numbers of people wanting to sign up again.
A problem that COVID maybe, I don't want to say solved, but it certainly put a monkey wrench in this type of person's plan. There's a certain type of martial artist, we'll call it, but definitely anytime there's a new martial arts movement like lightsaber fighting, this type of person tends to come out of the woodwork, who treats it as a money-making opportunity.
Sure.
And anybody who's been in martial arts for 10 years or more, let's just say, knows that there's really no money to be had in martial arts in the traditional sense.
Yes.
There's ways you can be successful. There's ways you can make a living, and so forth and so on. And some people really do make very comfy livings, but that percentage is so low. Martial arts is not
doing 8 to 12 classes,
that. Yeah. And those people usually own multiple schools too.
Yeah. Those are the guys in suits that are, doing seminars. Those are
and I don't want to classify all of them this way, but a lot of times they turn out to be the McDojo setup. And I personally, just being somebody who values Star Wars and my fandom and what it's done to kind of enrich my life, because when you're down in a funk, you can turn on The Empire Strikes Back and realize that somewhere in the galaxy, someone's got it worse than you.
Yeah.
I mean, as somebody who values all of what fandom has done for me, and then what martial arts has done for me as a person, for my family, like seeing that kind of person just like puts such a bad taste in my mouth. And they're all over the place. It's definitely not just the Saber community. You go to any traditional martial arts tournament and you see those schools that are just in it to put gold belts on the wall or what have you. It's just not.
There is no fear in those dojos.
It's not what I'm in it for. I mean, so those people, I think they got smacked a little bit by COVID because everybody stopped making money, right? Yeah. Everybody stopped being quote unquote successful during that time, except Amazon. And starting a lightsaber group was already not going to be your fast track to a good paycheck.
Right.
Okay. So I think those people hopefully got a reality check. And I'm not going to call anybody out because I could be wrong about who I think those people might be or aren't, right? So for me, I really don't care if that's you that I'm talking about. All I'm saying is you got to realize that if that is you, that it was a futile attempt in the first place. And the only way you're going to see success or make a living or make your paycheck or whatever it is off of anything martial arts related is by sharing your martial arts with anybody who will hear it.
Right.
Okay. And sharing is a two-way street.
Yeah.
And it can't be all about how many dollars are you going to give me for my instruction. Sure, everybody's instruction may or may not have a dollar value associated with it. And that's okay too. Like if you're the student and you're like, do I really pay this person $20 a month to like fight lightsabers with them? Well, maybe if they're really teaching you something that you think is good, then it's probably worth your $20 a month or whatever. But the long and short of it is, if the cha-ching is outweighing the buzzing sound of the lightsaber, then your priorities are probably a little bit off.
Right. And a caveat to that, if you are trying to make money off of lightsabers, in teaching, know that Mr. Mouse is going to be sending a letter soon.
Yeah. That's a legitimate issue.
Because there is no official school. I know.
Well, and those people, they need to start now.
That were doing it.
Those people need to start now looking at how they've been teaching lightsaber and think things like, can I now teach traditional swordsmanship? Should I maybe expand this into a bit of a kendo program or something sort of similar to that? Should I maybe expand this into a historical weapons program of some sort, or, incorporate, my Arnis training into the, yes. The short answer to all of that is yes. The only way you're going to see any success is by opening up your mind and your school basically to everything. If you have a background in Japanese weaponry, it would behoove you to allow your students to handle some Japanese swords or some kabuto weaponry or things like that. Right. If you know how to use Viking axes, or you're really into knife throwing and nobody ever knew that about you, well, maybe you need to start sharing that information with people, because every principle you teach for every style of martial arts will have a cross training element to it that you can apply to something else. And those people who come to you for your lightsaber training, who went away because of COVID, they're not going to come back just for lightsaber training. Usually they're going to come back if they feel A, safe, and B, like they're going to keep getting more for their time. And, start dusting off those rattan swords and those foam swords, and start going on to century martial arts and ordering action flex weaponry so that you can get younger people involved, or maybe older people involved who don't want to get hit in the head so much anymore. Right. It's just, anyway, we got to expand, and we got to appreciate everybody for that expansion. That's one thing that all of the SMAF people have been so good about. Nobody ever is like, oh, your way sucks, I want to do it my way. Everybody's like, I might not do it your way, but that's pretty cool that you do it differently. And it's been so great because there's so many aspects. Like, I know Keith in Hawaii, they use mid-grade blades a lot. Okay. Well, their level of control then is going to be through the roof. They're going to be really great at controlling all of their strikes all the time, adding power, subtracting power, adding speed, because those mid-grade blades really are right in the middle. They force you to act with a sense of responsibility, but they're still pretty safe. Right. And, people who practice with heavy grade blades, it's just one aspect of it, but just that few extra ounces adds a whole different element to the training.
Right.
The weapon swings differently. The length of the weapon matters a lot more in that case. A mid-grade short blade weighs almost the same amount from tip to hilt as a mid-grade long blade. But then once you get the heavy grade short versus long, it's a lot different in the weight category. Maybe the sword styles, you know, from your martial arts background as the teacher, favor the heavier blades. So now you can start showing your students some of the traditional weaponry that led to that style.
Right.
Awesome. Now some of them might say, well, what if I want to go lighter? Okay, well, there's surely something back in your. So let's say you're a traditional Arnis person. Well, the baston or the eskrima stick itself, the rattan stick, will be your heavier grade. But then if you use like a shorter knife, now all of a sudden you know how to use something lighter weight that moves faster, that you can do different techniques with one-handed techniques. So you can adapt everything you already know to become new things that you can learn too. It's just been so cool for me. Like my sword armory has gone from like, you know, a handful of different weapons to like now just in the back of my truck alone, I have like 24 different weapons. And I use, you know, half a dozen every time I teach. So
right.
It's
so,
fun.
That being said, Fode, you're looking at using your breadth of knowledge and applying a saber to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I were to be somebody that found out, hey, you know what, Mr. Mark is going to be teaching lightsaber. What is my first day like?
You're going to learn a couple things. One, how to hold the thing.
Sure.
And definitely, like, this sounds funny, but which direction to point the tip in.
Right.
Because I know you guys have seen a lot of beginners who all of a sudden they hold that thing and then they start hugging it close to their body.
Right.
And you're like, what are you hugging that thing for? Like, you're cutting your neck off. But we teach a very, I don't want to say a simple system, but it's based on simple principles. And they would learn the first 5 or maybe all 10 zones of attack and defense. So we base everything off of a 10 zone system.
Okay.
And all 7 of the forms are based off of that. So obviously everybody learns form 1 for their first while.
Sure.
And if they already have weapons experience, I'll probably still teach them a variation of form 1 that sort of matches what they already know to a degree.
Sure.
But if they had no weapons experience whatsoever, probably hand them a katana or something that's shaped like that, or a lightsaber that has a long enough hilt to feel like a katana, and teach them the first 5, perhaps 10 if they're doing okay, zones of attack and the defenses that go with it, and with one edge. So if it's a lightsaber they're holding, I'd still only focus on the lead edge or the true edge of the blade. But I want to get you hitting somebody and getting hit back. You know what I mean? So you might be 25 minutes of a half-hour class or of a 45-minute class. You might go 35 to 40 minutes, not touching a single other person with your blade. Maybe striking a punching bag or just in the air or in the mirror or what have you. And we mix it up and we'll do like the different zones or whatever. But in that last 5 to 10 minutes, I really want you to feel like you can put the things you just learned immediately to use. Because in my experience, like 25 years ago, you could do, you know, just how to fall in a judo class for the first 6 months of the program. Sure. And people would not quit. Well, now you can't do anything for 6 minutes in a row without somebody wanting to quit. So you gotta, like, you might only be learning 5 or 10 attack zones, but in that 30 minutes or so, you're going to drill those 5 or 10 zones in so many different ways, just because I don't want to lose your interest. And if you keep a simple program like that, then I can come up with so many different activities to just drill those zones. Blindfold. I had them doing blindfolded stuff the other day. So they covered their eyes, they stood at proper critical distance, and a third person standing off to the side would call out a zone. And it was up to the person attacking to strike that zone, but the other person blocking was also blindfolded and had to block the proper zone at the right time. So, I'm sure that people were getting a little bit of brain scrambling going on. But, that activity in and of itself can take up 10 minutes of a class, and it feels completely different than doing those 10 zones in the air.
Sure.
And then you take the blindfold off, you allow them to put the fencing helmet on, and you let them hit each other without any sort of restrictions for 5 to 10 minutes. And that feels completely different. And like you've learned a whole new skill set again. And this is all just in one class. So your first class, in short, I want to get as much interest from you as I can get, because I want you to come back for a second class.
See, that's
And
a
the
problem.
second, what's
That's
that?
genuinely a problem, because that means that you have to be interesting.
What are you trying to say about me?
Oh, it's your girl, that guardian, chiming in. Now you might be wondering, Marina, are you in a car? Yes. And I'll have you know why. Because I'm on my way to fuck Fode's mother. What's good?
Oh.
I'm here.
That was the longest lead up to a simple your mama joke.
You know what? It's a classic though. And here's the reason, is that it might have been long, but I know you're not used to long things, by the way. I get it. But, some people appreciate the time and effort.
You know what? I will say this. I was just preaching about keeping it simple, teaching a simple system. I think you just proved my point.
There is a certain finesse to a simple system. However, simple is also boring.
So this goes back to your original point. You have to stay interesting. That goes back to a point I made like an hour ago, that not everybody can be the teacher. And those people have to be okay not being the teacher. I think definitely being interesting is a challenge sometimes. You could be a stand-up comic and still not get the crowd every time, right? So you're going to bomb some nights, and you're going to lose students in their first class. And it sucks, but it's going to happen. You can't let it get to you forever. And the goal would be that the next time somebody comes in for their first class, they make it to their second class, right? So yeah, it's a challenge for sure. You have to be interesting.
I mean, here's the
Not
thing,
everybody
though.
can.
I think here's the thing. Like, when you do get that one or two students that's not super interested, at least your pride is already rock bottom, so that's safe.
No, I mean, you can't let it get to you too much, because maybe it wasn't your fault. And if it was your fault, like, maybe that's just not meant to work with you. Like, as a teacher, sometimes that's hard to swallow. Like, oh, my teaching didn't work. Well, like, look, did you like every teacher you had in school growing up?
Yeah.
But somebody liked that teacher you didn't like, and vice versa. So yeah, I mean, once in a while you have to be okay, like, knowing that you did everything you could and it still didn't work out. But yeah, it's hard to swallow for sure.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
Going back to that ego thing, definitely gets bruised.
I mean, that's what I'm here to do. So, I'm genuinely surprised that you're not talking back. Usually you're just as chirpy as me.
I'm trying to keep it like relatively PG-13, but you might have just started to remove the filter.
See, here's the problem, and this is what's been happening, is I don't know if you've been paying attention, which I get, small attention span, it's difficult.
Wow.
I have been
She's like so ripe tonight.
I have been smack talking the heads of every single school when we do their interviews. The reason being is, one, I would genuinely love to fight you all. Every time we get together, we're so busy that we never fight. Like, we never get to fighting. How many days did we spend together and not have a single fight?
We had a fake fight.
That doesn't count. Like, that
There's
sucks.
television evidence of it.
Yeah.
But, like, that's like...
No,
like,
it was like the Diet Dr. Pepper of fights.
that's like trying to have sex with a half chub, man. It's like, it's there, but it's not.
Damn. I can't say I'm real experienced in the half chub department.
Oh, okay.
But
I mean, I thought you might be.
we'll
but-
leave it at that.
So anyway.
But according to you, Marina, a half is still a hole for me, huh?
Yeah. So anyway, what my master plan is to get in, just pop in randomly on every single interview, smack talk, knowing I'm going to get destroyed, because that's what both of us do. We'll still talk, but there'll be a crater formed around us.
I'm just too happy right now to smack talk. Maybe that's what it is. I'm in too good of a mood.
Dang it.
Let me see. I
Okay,
heard.
I can fix that.
I'll think of something.
I can fix your mood. So the Bruins, huh? How did that work out?
You know what?
She went there.
Are you smack talking a place that actually has ice and their hockey team? Let's keep in mind that your hockey team had to pay bajillions of dollars to get enough fucking water into the city to try and freeze that shit at 190 degrees Fahrenheit.
But here's the
And
thing.
then they have the sorry excuse to put a fleur-de-lis on their goddamn uniforms. What does that have to do with anything in Las Vegas? Nothing. It's a New Orleans symbol. They should be the New Orleans Golden Knights. And even then, no ice in New Orleans. Not one bit. Oh, wait, shaved ice. Wah.
Yeah. See, here's the problem, though, that you just set up for yourself. Is you
What
smack
did I set up for myself?
the Knights, saying they're desert dwellers. And yet, we still did better than you. And we went further than you. And you got knocked down by, like, a C-list team. Like,
Wait a second. Better and further doesn't count when you're not in the finals.
Sir, that's what she said, Joe.
oh, damn it.
Better and further doesn't count when you don't finish.
You know what, man? I hate it because he's so much better at chirping. Like, he gets the part that hurts.
I could go all night and still not finish. And who wins in that scenario?
You know what, man? No one wins. And that's the fuck part. So
this brings up an interesting point, though.
Okay,
Like,
all right.
Here we are talking hockey again, as always happens. And, like, I think it's so important to have other interests aside from martial arts that can find their way back to your martial arts, though. Like, let's just say smack talking. Not exclusive to hockey, but definitely a trait of hockey. And can that be applied to martial arts? Yes, we were talking earlier about those who win and think that they're invincible. Well, there's also those who win and don't realize that they won or appreciate that they won. You got to have a little bit of both, right? You got to have a little bit of that, like, that person who's willing to, like, knock somebody out, then stand over them and say some shit like, what now? Right? But also the person, like, the same person has to be willing to, like, knock somebody out and then, like, go to their knees and, like, bow afterwards, you know? Like, same person, different coin flip.
So where do I fall in the line where I get knocked down, but I'm still smack talking and telling them?
Well, what else do you like besides hockey? Because that'll tell somebody a lot about your fighting and your smack talk style.
Like,
if you're like, oh, I like baking cupcakes, like, okay, she's meticulous. So now I'm going to use this, right, to my advantage. Because, okay, if I'm fighting somebody who I know is meticulous, I know it's going to piss them off if I change the program. So now all of your different interests, you can find little ways that they can, like, okay, here's one. I fucking love to cook. Like, I love to cook. Different than baking, okay? And because of that, baking is so precise, right? A lot of times martial arts is so precise. And once in a while, you just like, you want to put a little extra salt in, or you want to like add an extra tablespoon of butter by accidentally on purpose. And those kind of things are very like liberating, right? And it's kind of liberating to do that kind of thing in a fight, to just like all of a sudden throw a move that maybe you keep on the back burner for most of the time, and all of a sudden it comes out and it still works, or maybe it didn't work, but it opens up an opportunity for something else. But you got to have both. You got to have the meticulous person. You got to have the person who's willing to create on the fly. You got to have the person who's going to get pissed off at the creating on the fly, and the person who's going to get pissed off that you're sticking to the program so meticulously. So all of your different interests can come into play in that regard.
The thing that is currently working right now, because now I'm mad and I want to fight you, is that usually anytime
I could have just said, "Hi, Marina, you look gorgeous tonight," and you would say, "Fuck you, I want to fight you."
That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is that usually we get into a lovely chirp battle that everyone enjoys. And I've gotten into lovely chirp battles with every head teacher. And then there's you that's turning it into Mr. Seance-y bullshit.
I'm usually the chirp captain, and here I am just letting you butter me down with all your chirps. I know.
Oh my God. It's burning me down.
I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I know.
Fuck.
It's kind of like somebody who cries after sex. I get it.
Okay, nice.
That broke me. That definitely broke me.
Oh, man.
Well, so for a random side note, because I've told everybody that my inspiration for hopping on to all of these master interviews and smack talking them was you, because we actually had a really cool conversation where we talked about sometimes the advantages of playing around with people that are far better than you.
Yeah.
Because a crater will form around your body. You will be beaten to the floor. But it'll be a very good fight. You will be engaged. The other person might not be. The other person might just be swatting a fly. But I'm getting something out of it, and that's what matters. So I thought it would be entertaining to attempt, when COVID is over, to try to gather as many people that I have smack talked as possible to just destroy me. Like, that's kind of the plan.
It's a pay-per-view event.
Pay-per-view event.
I gotta make money somehow on this show.
Yeah, watch this Padawan get destroyed by everyone that's clearly superior, and she's still gonna be like, "Yeah, your mom." But
oh man.
So the rules I think we decided on is the only legal target on Marina is going to be her ass.
Yeah, that's the only one you can get.
Yeah.
So, work on those ass shots, my guy.
Work on those ass shots, my guy. You know what? That needs to be a T-shirt.
I mean, technically,
Marina, you said that like you practiced saying that a few times before.
You know, it sounds like something I would have said before, but
see, I can't even chirp because you agree.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, for you, this is going to be easy because you're so low to the floor already that you're like, eye level.
So low to the floor already.
Like when you're in
God damn it, you're right. I am like super low to the floor.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm the shortest person in everybody's picture.
Yeah.
It's cute though. It's cute. We like it.
Thank you. It's cute. It's cute. Oh shit, I got nothing, Marina. I'm trying here, but you're just making me feel good. Trying to like talk a little smack. No, it's not working. No smack working at all.
That's the part that's making me mad. Well, I think this was by far the most civil smack talk I've done.
Yeah.
Fode, genuinely love you. You're super cool. I can't wait to meet you and fight you. Just next time though, like when we get together to actually fight, just bring a little more, because you know, this was pathetic. This really was quite sad.
Jeez.
Uh-oh, did we lose him?
Oh, maybe we lost him. Did he die?
Look at what you did.
No. I hurt his feelings. Maybe it's because I didn't tell him to eat a bag of dicks. That's usually our repertoire.
That's how you summon him, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how
Let's see if he comes back.
Yeah, I might have scared him away forever. It's fine. That means I win, right, though? That means I win?
Until the gathering, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that you will have the last say until then.
You know what? I'll take this W for now, because joking and short jokes aside, he's scary, dude. He's hella scary.
He's a fun fight.
Yeah, it took us a while. It took me a hot second to figure out his personality, because he was like, oh yeah, like I've done all this stuff, and it was a long list. I'm like, okay, so this dude could like break my neck if he wants to. And then we started cooking together, and then I just slipped out, eat a bag of dicks, and we kind of latched onto that. And our friendship has been around insulting each other. Oh, you know what? I probably did to make him go away. I complimented him.
Right.
Like that's not in our normal gig. So maybe when I complimented him,
Right. That was the biggest insult of all. Was the
yeah, you know what? Damn. Faux pas on my part.
Well, while you're here, Marina.
Yes.
I'll ask you the question I was going to ask Fode.
Oh man.
What is the next Saber fight you're looking forward to?
Oh. Honestly, I feel really badly because I feel like this is picking favorites because I have challenged so many people.
Totally fine.
But Courtney's looking real fresh. Courtney's a charmer, man. He's got me.
Yeah.
He's gonna love hearing that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that as somebody that's been asked that question before, you know, whatever the next one is my answer. And I think if and when we do actually fight, I will go by the limitations we set upon our sponsor. And,
I'm both really excited, but also I feel really badly because I genuinely want to fight you guys. Like I don't want to fight you with a handicap.
right.
So like, can we do two?
It's just for me, for my own, you know, it won't count. We'll have to do it over and over again. It won't be like a point unless I hit you in the ass. I think that's the for me. we can go to 10 points via the judges, but I wouldn't have scored anything if I didn't hit you in the ass. That's me.
You know what? I can work with that. You know what? If that's really your dream, I will make it happen.
Well, I think part of it is you know, in my mind, and as a teacher and as an instructor, I'm thinking about the different techniques I could possibly use to actually do that. And a lot of it's like, should I drill this over and over again, or is that just gonna create bad habits?
Oh God, yeah, I've done that a couple times where I've thought of a really cool move.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna do this like this. I'm like envisioning this really dumb move, and I do it correctly, and I'm like, yes, I got that one, but then there's more
Right.
after that one, and that's the problem.
Right.
But that's a really tricky one because honestly, getting to know everyone through my apparent mode of conversation, aka smack talk.
Smaff talk, I like to call it.
Smaff talk, yeah, smaff talk. I'm really excited to fight just about everybody. Like Alan, I haven't fought you at all, and I look forward to just the big goofy thing that's going to happen because, you know, as much as I think I want a serious fight with you, I really don't. It's just going to be us doing some really dumb things.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I can guarantee at least my half of the ring will be really goofing off.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to combat you and the butt thing, and I'm considering like blindly choosing a style of lightsaber and just being like, cool, I've never used this before, let's go, like a staff or something really stupid.
Right.
Because I want a handicap too, because now this just becomes entertaining.
Right. Well, I mean, that's I'm the same guy that put out a sign-up sheet to, hit Nick in the shin for $5, so.
Which we're still all waiting for. Like, I paid good money.
If the guy would show up on time.
Sneak my knees. But no, I'm really excited to fight everybody, to be honest. And I know that it's going to be really difficult to get everyone together. So is it realistic that we will have absolutely everyone together? Probably not. But as many as possible, and I'd be satisfied. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, yeah, I think part of one of the things that I'm missing is in a group class is being able to fight everybody.
Yeah.
One-on-one fine, but you can only fight one person so many times before you're like, all right, let's try something new.
Yeah, I definitely feel that, and it's difficult when you have the same sparring partner to find sort of the inspiration or drive to fight, because it's the same fight over and over, and that's something that is really important with drills too, because it's the same thing over and over, but you also have to acknowledge that things get boring, and that's okay. So you have to figure out how to take the basics or the things that you need to do and make them interesting for you.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, that's very important in any skill, right?
Yeah.
There's only so many times that you can, boil pasta before you're like, you know what? I'm not into it anymore.
Yeah. And one of the ways that I make training exciting is challenging people that are better than me. And but see, this is the part that always gets me in trouble, is there's this Marina, which is like, haha, here to fuck your mom, like, let's go. And then I get into the ring and I'm like, please don't hurt me. I really want a good fight, but please don't break me. Like, right. I want to fight again.
Right. Well, that leads us back to the beginning.
Oh, was that him too?
Oh, they're dropping like flies. They are dropping like flies.
We might be calling this a wrap soon, because I haven't heard back from Fode yet.
Yeah.
And it looks like Alan is frozen solid.
You know what? That's fine, because I'll keep it going for a couple more minutes.
Yeah, I'm here listening.
Oh, I was about to say, this is officially the Marina Hour. Let's go.
Yeah, it's all good.
Because I was going to a friend's place, and this is just what happens. I'm awesome. If you haven't noticed, I'm probably, without a doubt, the best lightsaber fighter that you've ever seen in your life. Don't ask anybody else though, because they're liars. They'll tell you otherwise. Eric's gonna kill me, which is cool, really fun.
You have to come back downtown to do it.
Yeah, I really, really like. One of my favorite things to do is, okay, actually, this is something I do genuinely enjoy doing and I appreciate. Oh,
he made it back. He's back. Dude. Alan is. So haven't heard from Fode.
Oh, Alan's back at least. We got one.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what happened, but I think I don't know. There's something up with Zoom.
Yeah, and that's chill. That's cool. I get that I scared Fode away, and actually, a part of me is genuinely worried, because he's like, I'm in too good of a mood, and I'm afraid that I ripped that down. But I'm also kind of excited if I did, because I'm like, ooh, nailed it. But also, nailed it.
Well, we have to say, sign off, I guess.
Yeah, I think we'll wrap this up if.
Well, I'll talk to Fode sometime tomorrow. It's also, really late on the East Coast.
Yeah,
right?
it's 11 o'clock. He has his two toddler age, newborn and toddler, so he's probably pretty wiped as well. So we're going to go ahead and wrap that up. Alan, if you want to go ahead and pitch your side of the world, what you got going on?
If you're in Arizona, phoenixsaber.com. Really easy. You can find us on Facebook. You can find me anywhere, really. If it has something to do with lightsaber in the state of Arizona, chances are my name is thrown into the mix there. There you go.
And then there's me, your girl, Dat Guardian, back at it again with the insults. Your girl will be back in it with the next. I don't even know who we interviewing next, but I'm gonna talk my shit.
Theoretically, it's Eric.
Oh!
It's
Sorry, I'm really excited about this one because there's a certain happy feeling, because I've just been absolutely disappointing my master from afar, but now I get to do it up close. And do not think I will not roast him. I have the utmost respect for him. He's actually, without a doubt, one of my best friends. He has helped me out so much in my life, and I have nothing but absolutely good words for him. However, that is not the Marina that we are here for. As soon as I get on the podcast, I have a bad feeling, Marina. And it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Right.
I'm gonna figure out the right. See, that's the part though, is I've said everything already. Like I've said so much.
Oh, there's a lot to work with. There is.
I know there is, but I just have to get creative. And that's hard because I do love him, and also fuck that guy. Am I right?
Okay, well, I just got a text from Fode. Let's let him back in, and we'll have him sign off at least.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think the waiting room is enabled, so.
Pussy. Also, if you wanted any of his students to see this, I've absolutely killed it. Just as soon as I show up, just put it there.
That's the thing. We've been talking about using this as promotional material for the SMAF gang, and then some of the stuff's like, is this our best foot forward?
No, and that's what I was curious about, because you wanted to do this, and then I pitched you guys this idea. I didn't expect you guys to let me do this idea, but I pitched it.
I think it's healthy, a healthy thing to kind of show the temperament of the person that you're actually interviewing. So. Okay,
so I'm the cattle prod that figures out their true personality.
Yeah, because we don't really have any gotcha questions.
Yeah, so, we're not slinging dirt or anything. It's all
So having you show up and
wreck everything.
On a challenge.
Yeah.
It would have been even better because Fode was talking about like the days of somebody showing up and challenging you are long gone. If you would have just jumped in right at that moment,
I missed my cue. Fuck. I'm sure if he wants to show this to people,
oh my God,
he can censor me.
Here he's back.
Marina's breath was so fucking bad, she fucking killed my phone.
That's fair. There he is. Come at me a little bit more. Come on, I need some. Just get me off.
The only thing more acidic than these batteries is your goddamn tone. You better watch it with me.
Yes! There it is. That's what I wanted. That's all I needed. I miss you.
Well, when your phone dies on the fly, you tend to get a little sour all of a sudden.
See, I was worried that I ruined your mood, but also kind of happy about it.
Well, I hate to kill all those viewers who were thinking about, how they were going. Anyway, that were enjoying my face on the screen, let's just say. And I'm going to leave my video off while I get a little extra juice in the phone. But other than that, I'll be good. Right now, in this part of where I'm currently living, you have to make certain choices in life. You can't have good video quality and an internet connection that lasts forever. So
fair enough. Well, we were just getting ready to start our wrap up. Why don't you go
That's
ahead?
fun.
Go ahead and share with the rest of the community how to get a hold of you and your club and the things you got going on.
Just let me see. Okay, looks like I can do a little bit of video here. So the easiest way to get a hold of me would be sabermartialarts.life, I believe. And also on Facebook, if you look up Mr. Mark or Mark Stamegna or any of that, you'll probably find me. You could send me a message. I do a lot of like private lessons these days via Zoom, or if you are in either the Delaware state general area or the Delaware of Ohio general area, I can easily make it to either one for your training pleasure. So that's cool. And if you just want to meet up and play nerd sticks with me, I'm down with that too. So hit me up.
Awesome. Okay, and then this is going to be it for this podcast. Once again, you can find all of us at San Diego Sabers Radio Podcast at sandiegosabers.life. Our Twitter handle is podcast_SDS. Our YouTube channel is San Diego Sabers. Our Instagram is SD Sabers. And then let's see. Gmail. The podcast goes direct to me, so it's andre.sdspodcast@gmail.com. The club email is San Diego Sabers singular @gmail.com. If you look up San Diego Sabers online and you see people playing hockey, that's not us. That's a local hockey team. We are the gang swinging lightsabers around. Thanks for joining us, and we'll tune in with us next time. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
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 Until next time, remember, always keep your blades up, don't lose your tip, and may the Force be with you.
San Diego Sabers Radio Podcast. Star Wars. The Star Wars logo, music, characters, and other Star Wars items are the property of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content is property of San Diego Sabers, copyright 2020. May the Force be with you.